Hello everyone, this is the Engineering Tactician, and welcome to the first series I'm going to be doing on this channel. This series will be a career mode in Juno New Origins, or as most people know it, Simple Rockets 2. Our goal is to put a druid, as they are called in the game, on every planet or moon we can land on. As such, we're going to call our company the Manned Space Project. I expect this to be a relatively long series, but pretty cool. So, that right there is Algernon Fizzlebottom. He gives us patents, and those patents are accessed via the tech tree. It sounds a lot more complicated than it really is. But if we won't see much of him beyond this very first episode. If we go to the tech tree, we're going to pick up the very first free upgrade. It's worth nothing right now, though we're going to need it long term. Because we need those druids for manned missions. So we're going to pick up the next free upgrade, which is also worth very little. Though I guess cameras are nice. And then since our goal is space, we're going to pick up Backyard Scientist, so we can start working on building rockets. Our goal this episode is to reach space. Not orbit, but space. So if we pick up this research, that gives us a rocket engine, our very first rocket engine. Our next thing. This is our contract screen. This is our milestones screen. We get tech points for completing different milestones. And this is our exploration screen. We also get tech points for this. Now then, in contracts, we're going to accept our first job. We're going to get paid to launch a very simple little rocket. Just has to go up 25 kilometers above sea level and crash at least 500 meters away from the launch pad. Pretty easy. And we get $5,000 for it. Alright, I'm going to make a new craft because for some reason that is a giant command disk. And we're going to add a nose cone to it. I'm going to make the nose cone fairly long and build a fuel tank because we need fuel for our rocket engines. Let's make it somewhat long. Next up, we're going to add a couple of rocket engines. It is more efficient to have 3 or 4 smaller engines than one giant engine. So we're going to go do 3. We should be good for now. And I don't like our Delta V, so we're going to add a lot more fuel. There we go. 1.5 meters long fuel tank. Delta V's better. We've got excellent thrust-to-weight ratio. Let's add some stabilizers. And make the fuel tank bigger, of course. Alright. So 2,200, and then stabilizers won't add much to that cost. Actually, they'll add a fair bit. Until we shrink them, of course. There we go. Yeah, they won't cost much. So we're going to do 4 stabilizers. 3, 4. And I think we're ready to launch. Let's add some gyro so we can turn our rocket. And let's add some battery, because we need to be able to power said gyroscope. Let's launch. Here we go. So we're going to point away from the village center. We're going to set our pitch to about 75 degrees above horizontal, so that way we don't land back on this pad. We are paid not to land back on this pad, and it's just bad to throw a rocket into into our one launch pad at high speed. So now let's boost. Okay, yeah, we're definitely going to make it. Is apoapsis, for those of you who aren't super rocket nerds, is how high a rocket will reach as it travels. In our case, it's at about 40. I'm betting it'll end up at about 38 if we were to go that high. It ain't worth it to go that high. We're going to go up to 30 kilometers because we can get some tech points at that point. And let's try and glide. And let's see if we can glide a little ways away, because we're already 5 clicks from the village. So if we can glide a fair ways, there's no reason not to. Alright. We are now gliding, but not really well. is we are a ballistic rocket. We don't have much at all in the way of lift. So we're slowly going to just tilt downwards until we hit about this critical angle. It'll probably be a little bit lower than where we're at right now, but not much. And now we're just speeding up bit by bit. So we're going fairly fast. And then we end up landing about 13, maybe 13 and a half km from the village. Actually, maybe even 14. Are we going to get 14? We're going to get... Wow, we're going to get 14. Watch, we're about to slow down extremely quickly as we hit the much denser air in this valley. So yeah, we just lost 60 meters per second of speed in a very short period of time. But we got paid. So that was $5,000 for that contract, $1,000 on signing, $4,000 on completion. And we only paid about $2,500. So let's go get something from the tech tree. I am thinking let's pick up, the staging. Check your staging. It's relatively cheap, and if we're trying to touch space this episode, it will be extremely valuable to us. Alright. So what contract do we want to do next? Let's do flight termination system. It's a fairly easy one, and it is extremely valuable for what it is. We can probably just use our existing rocket, but I forgot to mention this during the flight, but I hate that we have 3 engines for 4 fins, so we're going to modify it, but yeah. This guy we're working for is Buck Marshall. He's the mayor of our village. He just wants people to launch rockets from his area and bring in money. If we can do space tourism, he'd be very happy. But in the meantime, all we have to do is... So going high is going to be our end of episode contract, but in the meantime, we're doing flight termination system. Going high requires us to touch space. So we don't want to do that yet. Alright, we're going to add an extra engine and make the fuel tank a bit bigger, if that's all you've got to do. Let's edit. But if we do that, we will definitely reach plenty high. The reason to make the fuel tank longer is it reduces the effective drag, and that you have more mass per surface area, which means drag cannot do as much to reduce your energy, your kinetic energy. So we've got the contract, we only have to make it to 30 kilometers above ground level. Let's go for it. Alright, here we are. We're going to, of course, point away. We're only going to do 80 degrees because we don't have to make it too far from the village. And we made it plenty far last time. And then let's boost. There we are. What's our apoapsis going to come out at? It's going to be... I'm betting about 40 cam, given where it's dropping to... Maybe 41. We might end up at 41 kilometers of apoapsis. Yeah. So now, all we gotta do is keep it going and just fly up. So, the game automatically paused us here, as this is where we would normally do it. We don't have to, though. So let's keep going up. So let's see how high we can make it. Alright, we're gonna 40.7. We're gonna end up at 40.5. We might end up at 40.6 or 40.5. Actually, the air density is so low, if you look at that little pop-up, I bet it stays at 40.7. And then let's end this now. Alright, that is our money back. So now we're going to save and exit. We've got some money. We don't have much in the way of tech points, so we're just going to do a next contract. I hate these fireworks missions. They waste so much money and they take a good bit of time just trying to get enough boom into an area, so we're not going to do it. Instead, we're going to do this going sideways. Yeah, going sideways, and yeah, going high is definitely going to be what we do to end the episode. So we get this going sideways. We're going to start building our modified rocket. It shouldn't take much. Larger gyro, and I think that's it. Just make the command disk larger so we can turn better. There we go. 10% should be enough. There's the nose cone. Do we need to do anything else? No, we're good to launch. Alright, here we go. So we need to point as close to directly away from the village as we can. We're going to set it at 48 degrees above the horizontal. And the reason for that, 45 is what everyone says is the best, and there's a reason for that. However, if we can go up to 48, we're going to get to the point where there's so little drag on our rocket where we can effectively ignore it. We'll be sufficiently high that we don't have to worry at all about our rocket slowing down. So now all we got to do is just fly. Basically, the only thing that should really slow us down at the apex of our arc is gravity. That's all we should really have to worry about. We're still going pretty fast, and we've slowed down a lot. We're going at Mach 1.3. So we're going pretty fast. I'm going to start pitching down a little, just try and get us farther away from the village. Stop going up as much, start going away. Convert that energy. And let's put it at 0. We're definitely good to start falling. Alright. And we're on our way back down now. Now all we gotta do is crash, but let's see how far we can make it. Why not? Yeah. For now, let's see how far we can make it. This design is very much a ballistic rocket, so it does not glide at all. Well, that's not true. It glides a little bit. But for all intents and purposes, it is a very, very not gliding rocket. It is aerodynamic in that air just bends around it and basically can ignore it for the most part. So we got 40,000 for that and spent 3,000, so that was a very, very good launch. Let's go to the tech tree. So I want to pick up catch them all next. That's our next tech I want to go for. And the reason for that is that gives us parachutes, which we are going... Well, that gives us good parachutes, which we are going to need if we want to send manned missions. We're not doing wet rockets. Let's try and do this next going sideways. And I'm thinking depending on how much time we do, we might do wet rockets after this going sideways. We'll have to see. But, yeah. So, we're going to add some wings to our rocket. And we're going to add a lot of length. But if we add wings, we can try and glide, which is probably the only way we're going to make it all that far. So, I did not put the initial set of fins on in nice places, so I'm going to do that right now. Alright, that looks a lot nicer. So now we've just got to move the big wings into position. So we've got to move them up. I'm thinking once we move them up, let's do a trapezoid style wing design with relatively little sweep. And the reason for that is it allows us to turn relatively well, which should let us get on our course. And it's pretty stable. Actually, so we're going to increase the length of the nose cone. And we're going to go for a swept. And the reason for that is it makes it so we can't turn as well, but we're more stable. And we don't have as much drag acting on our rocket. Both of which are really good things. We're going to add a little bit of weight to that nose cone. So As our rocket empties, we don't have the center of lift shift to be in front of the center of mass, though we probably don't need it, but we're going to do it just as a safety precaution. And then let's launch. It might work. I don't think it will, but we might be able to make it just off. I forgot to sign the contract, so let's go do that right now. Oh, going sideways. There we go. Now we can just launch. Alright. Here we go. So, we're going to point pretty thoroughly away from the village. That's good enough. 45 degrees, and the reason for that is we need air under our wings in order to glide. So if we go too high, we're just wasting those wings, and we just wasted a ton of weight. So, we're going to go at 45. Our nose is not coming down to 45. I do not like that. That is not good. We are going up very fast, and we are not going sideways very fast. So I do not like this at all. There's our fuel empty. Some tech points if we make it through this mission, otherwise we'll have to restart. But going. Our apoapsis is going to be better than last time, it looks like, which is might be good, though I think it is because we just went so high instead of going laterally, which we needed that lateral momentum. Let's see if we can try and pitch the nose up, though I don't think we can. Now we just have to glide. We've made it fairly far, but nowhere near far enough. We are definitely not making it this try. So we're going to have to retry this mission. Yeah. Ouch. There goes our rocket. So we're going to undo. So we need a lot more fuel. I think that's the biggest thing. So we're going to adjust it to have a lot more fuel. Let's pull. Yeah. More fuel. Make the nose cone bigger, of course. Let's definitely scale up our engines to make up for... We just got 4 times as much weight they have to lift up. But they now have 4 times as much fuel to work with. So there's bonuses and there's disadvantages. But, yeah. Let's bring our small fins back out of our fuselages. There we go. Our engine is pretty close, but let's fix it so it is right on. There we go. Alright, so what's our... You know what? Let's do another engine. More thrust will help us here. We're going to lengthen, we're going to sweep the wings back more. Increased stability, reduced drag, reduced maneuverability, and we're just going to go all in on our gyroscope. It's expensive, but we're going to need it. Let's launch. So let's get pointed away from the village. And then 46. We've got wings, so altitude is worth it up to a point. So 46 versus 45, it's about the same. So we're going to pull the pitch up, so the gyro will pull harder, just keep it at 45-ish. So we're definitely at 45. So there's that milestone again. Once we come out of this mission, we should have plenty of tech points. to get whatever we might want. Alright. So our apoapsis is at about 30. So we've just got to make it up there and see how high we go. If we can hit 50 kilometers by the time we've laterally, by the time we've hit 30 vertically, we should make it. It's going to be tight, it will be close. If we just miss by a kilometer, which might happen, I'll be frustrated. Yeah, let's pitch her back down. Alright, now we just have to try and glide. Let's make these wings we threw on do the job they're meant to. If we pull, yeah. So our gyro's is pulling as hard as it can, so it's going to be close. We're going to make it. We are definitely going to make it, but it is not going to be by much. I bet we probably have ended up about 101 to 102 kilometers away from where we started. Alright, and there we go. So, there we go. So those wings definitely paid off, and all the extra fuel paid off. So let's pick up Catch Them All. And then for our next little piece of tech, Chemistry Lover might be nice because it gives us better engines for trying to reach orbit, but Fasten Your Belts is important because we need crew for our playthrough. So I do not know what we're going to pick up next time. We do not have time for another mission, so let's do, except for, of course, going high. So let's do that right now. Alright, so in terms of changes we need to make to our rocket, we're going to remove the wings, of course. We're going to remove the stabilizers for now. Let's make this fuel tank larger. And then we have to throw on a fairing for our payload, as we were hired to bring a payload up to space. So we're going to use another fuel tank to bridge between our shrunken nose and the main fuel tank. We've got a decent amount of delta V, but I don't like it. Hang on. How much do we gain? We gain 30 meters per second if we remove that engine. So let's definitely keep that engine. It pays for itself. And you know what? Let's not launch it. We have interstages. So we're going to make the first stage really small. The engines we have right now are a lot more efficient when we are moving. So if we can have one stage with just a little bit of fuel to get us off the ground, and then another stage that is our main stage to keep us going, let's do that. So we're going to... Do I want to do 4 or do I want to do 5 engines on the upper stage? You know, let's throw on our stabilizers on the upper stage, as that helps us save energy, which is worth it. Let's do 4 engines, 4 stabilizers. It's worked for the longest time, so we don't need to change it. That inner stage could be a little bit smaller than it is. So we're going to shrink that down just a little bit. Let's pull off that bottom stage so we can shrink it down, of course. So, shrink it. Alright, that saved us just a little bit of weight, but in rocketry, any weight you can save is worth it. Our stages look to be all good to go. Yeah, our stages are all good to go. Alright. So what do we need? Let's launch. Actually, yeah, let's launch. Let's go for it. Alright, let's launch. Here we go. Engines ignited. We're going vertically. We're going to pitch just a little bit a ways so our little booster stage does not land right on top of our launch pad. And then here's the main stage. We probably dropped the booster stage just a tad bit late. In the meantime... Alright. And we are out of fuel. We are slowing down really fast. That's really fast. What's our apoapsis? Okay, yeah, no, we're not making it. So we're going to retry this mission, because we are nowhere near what we needed to be. So we need more fuel on that main stage. We could have been better about that staging, is I waited a little bit too long. So it removed a lot of the benefit from that bottom stage. There we go. How big? Let's try it. Let's see how this goes. Alright, so we're going to stage at about 100 meters per second. Actually, let's do 90. And the reason for that is, like I said earlier, taller rockets do better against the force of drag. So but we also need to be moving for that little boost to efficiency of the staging. Alright. We should be good to go. So yeah, we're definitely going to be good to go. We're going to hit vacuum. So hooray for that. So we're going to hit vacuum. Our goal next episode is to put something into orbit. That might change depending on how the episode goes, but that is our goal. In the meantime, let's just cruise up. We're going to touch vacuum, and that'll be... If we can touch vacuum, that'll make me happy. .3. Look at that air density. It's less than a gram per meter cubed. Drag does not exist anymore. We only have to fight gravity at this point, and even then, though you cannot see it, actually, yes, you can. That is going down, as that is down to only 8.7 meters per second squared. Alright, so we're going to stage and drop the probe off, and then we're going to rotate, because, well, we can't turn ourselves around since we're in vacuum and don't have thrust. When we do start falling back to the ground, I'd like to see how fast we can grow and how far we can go. In the meantime, thank you everyone for watching. This has been a great episode, and if you enjoyed it, please comment your favorite part and then share it with a friend. So that way, as many people as possible can see the video, and that helps the channel, and it helps everyone enjoy the video. So now we're just going to cruise on down, and we're going to end the video with us smacking into the ground at high speed. We'll speed up until we're down. There we go. Look how fast we are slowing down as we start entering low atmosphere. There's just so much air, it causes so many problems. But there we go. Thank you for watching. This has been the first episode of the Manned Space Project Act series. And again, if you enjoyed the video, please comment or share it. Either of them works. Thank you, and this is the Engineering Tactician signing off.